Well, good evening, everybody. We've got everything set and running. We're so glad that you can join us this evening. We have a wonderful webinar prepared for you today, and it is by Annalee Whitman. She is going to talk to you guys about, and I have to make sure I get this right because it's an amazing, very interesting title today. It's Navigating Nursing School While Creating a Strong Support System for Success. So welcome tonight. And the way we are going to do this, welcome Annalee, the way we're going to do this is we're going to go through the webinar. You will have the opportunity to ask questions through our Q&A box. You also will have an opportunity to ask questions through Facebook in the comments. This webinar is being recorded. It's going live on Facebook right now, and we will record it and then caption it and put it on our website, uab.edu/families, within the next week. As something just of a side note, we've already had one webinar about Tech Connect, all the technology needs, and we had one this afternoon about financial aid and One Stop. So if you would like to go back and see it, they're on Facebook and they will be on our website within the next couple of weeks. So Annalee, welcome and thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much, Carmen. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be able to speak with you all tonight and hopefully answer some of your questions, pressing questions that you might have. In trying to come up with what we might talk about this evening, I know that this is really geared toward families and the parents and those supporting the support systems of those who will be coming in as our students to UAB. So we want to welcome you to be part of this Blazer family, which is a really close-knit network. As I was choosing my time, hoping it would be a good time of day to offer this session, I didn't think about my neighbor mowing his yard and doing his yard work. So I apologize if there's a little background noise this evening. So hopefully he'll be finished very soon. My role here in the School of Nursing is I am over recruitment for both undergrad and graduate programs. That essentially means I touch within every single program and pathway that we offer in the School of Nursing. And I always tell students to think of me as your biggest cheerleader. I'm here to help you to know what resources are available and how to connect, like we're doing tonight, to get your questions answered, or just have someone that you can go to that is a neutral party and can put you in touch with the right people, especially if you've not met a lot of people on campus just yet. So in saying that, I really do hope that a lot of you have already been to campus, met me in person, or met Dr. Tafani in person, but also possibly had a chance to visit our labs and classrooms. If you haven't, or maybe you're out of state, haven't come to town yet, every Friday at around 11:45, I do a tour in the School of Nursing that you can add on to a campus tour. Unless it's a holiday, we will be there. So I would encourage you and would love to invite you to come and join us for one of those tours, just to kind of see the campus and the School of Nursing, particularly in person. Feel free as we're going through tonight to take pictures of any of the slides that you see, if that's helpful for you. I'm a very visual person, so it helps to have these visuals as well. But as we're talking tonight, as we're talking about how we are a support system for your student and how we hope to build you up to be the support system for the student who will be coming into nursing, there's a lot to take into consideration. And one of those, and one of the biggest pieces of this puzzle, is understanding how to get into nursing school and knowing all of the options that are out there. This slide shows all of the options that a student can take to earn both their undergraduate degree, their entry into nursing, through their graduate education, and kind of what a timeline would look in order to complete that education. So when we are discussing and having this conversation tonight, let me pull up my highlighter here so you can see this, but we're going to be focused on this top 5 boxes here, which is a 5-semester program in the School of Nursing. And so that's what I call the traditional Bachelor's of Science in Nursing, which is what most of you are coming into and applying for. So we're going to focus on that. And if you have questions about other things, I'll be happy to answer those for you. I'm also going to make an honorable mention to the joint enrollment pathway. This is a new option that we'll talk about here in just a moment. And then down below, I think it's also really important to make you aware, if you're not, that there's also an option for students to earn their nursing degree through our community college system. It is also a 5-semester nursing degree that students complete the same nursing license that they would complete if they came to UAB and did their bachelor's level. Okay, so that does, if you go to the community college, you're not earning your bachelor's level nursing degree, but you're earning an associate's level nursing degree. At the same time, the nursing license is still the same. So that person would be a registered nurse, whether they graduated from UAB or any of our local community college nursing programs. And at UAB, we offer a pathway where students can finish that community college degree in nursing and then come back to finish their bachelor's with us while they're working as a nurse. So why do I say all this to you? Some students are looking for affordable ways to continue their education. They start school, they're having to navigate that process. And one of the conversations I really want to highlight tonight are, as we look at continuing your education, it is not an unaffordable endeavor, right? This is an investment in your life. And so I want to make sure that we've really thought through how we can get you prepared and know as many of those costs as possible to anticipate those. This past year, we've seen the largest number of students that I've personally seen in my time in working with the School of Nursing over the last 8 years have unmet need. And some of that was unexpected things that come up and arise. And some of it is that they didn't have a plan. There's a lot of speculation that when you go into healthcare, people will pay for your education. And while there are some opportunities for people to support your education, there's scholarships and other things like that, that won't necessarily cover all of your education. And so you always need to have a good plan in place. Now, the other thing we're known for at the School of Nursing at UAB is we are nationally ranked one of the top schools in the country, and a lot of that is led by our nurse practitioner pathways and our leadership pathways. So when you see this list here, just know that these are all of the potential opportunities that your student has to continue on with their graduate education, whether they want to be a nurse practitioner, nurse anesthetist as a CRNA, maybe they would like to be a researcher. We have a PhD program, which until this past year was the only one of its kind in the state of Alabama. And then other things like specialty tracks. Subspecialties are essentially a minor at the graduate level. So the student could take just a couple of classes and add those on to their graduate major and have additional certifications that they can sit for. The other thing that's unique about nursing is this NCLEX exam, the NCLEX pass rate that I keep referring to. So this is the national licensure exam that every nursing student has to pass in order to become a registered nurse and in order to work as a registered nurse. So these numbers are very important for you to know, and we are very proud of our numbers. You can see the national average versus where we're at currently with the UAB average. And where we've consistently been, I usually keep a 3-year running total here. And for me, that's also important because we've been through COVID. We've hopefully made it through the worst. And so I'll always get questions from students about how that impacted our pass rates. And you'll see they did take a little bit of a hit there. And we'll talk about some of the resources that we've put in place to overcome the issues and struggles that we have seen students face since COVID. Now, this is just a few pictures from inside of the building. So for those who maybe have visited, you know exactly where some of these pictures were taken from. But one of the things that being a student at UAB affords you is access to resources that go above and beyond what most colleges have the opportunity for you to participate in. And that is no different for the School of Nursing. Our labs are really some of the best in our Southeast in the country. I mean, it's hard to compare. And so our mannequins that we have in our labs, some of them can do anything a real human can do, such as blink, they can talk back to you, they can have a heart attack, a stroke. We have Simone and Victoria who give birth multiple times a week. So that's why I'd love for you to come in if you haven't already, because I do think that that piece of understanding what your education will look like over the next 4.5 years will be very important. The other key component of being a part of UAB is our access to clinical sites and clinical locations. We are within walking distance to some of the country's best hospitals. Children's Hospital sees 97 to 98% of all of the pediatric patients, and particularly the pediatric oncology patients in the state of Alabama. University Hospital, which is part of the partnership with UAB, they are the third largest public hospital in the United States and have over 3,000 nurses that work at the hospital. That's an incredible facility. And they're also doing procedures there that are unique to that facility. They are the largest kidney transplant chain in the world. They also are doing uterine transplants as of the last couple of years, which allows women to have up to 2 babies who were previously unable to give birth. So that's really exciting stuff that as a student at UAB, you're right across the road from this life-changing medicine. You would have the opportunity to be a part of that. The School of Nursing is also one of 16 nursing programs in the country that have an affiliation with the Veterans Administration and the military. So what that means, if a student is either in the military, has a place for wanting to serve our veterans, or maybe desires one day to go on to be in the military as a nurse, we have a pipeline that we try to put students in programs where they can get experience that will help them to be successful in working with veteran systems. So again, these are just all opportunities for you that if you, as you're coming in to be a student at UAB or you're supporting your student, these are some examples of the places that they would be. So when we talk about what support and success look like, there's a few things. I mentioned COVID and post-COVID, and what that meant for us, we really saw lots of different types of struggles that our students encountered, but one of those was learning and adapting to test models. We've also this year had to learn a new exam. The NCLEX exam completely changed. Just the structure of the exam completely changed. And so with that, we have now 4 faculty who are what we call remediation specialists. When your student gets into the upper level nursing courses, they will be reviewed on a constant basis from the moment they take an exam all the way through their 5 semesters of nursing school, to see exactly where we can be a support to them. Maybe they're doing fine and they don't need to check in with us that week, or maybe they didn't do so well on an exam and we need to look at why they didn't do well. Maybe it's their test prep wasn't as good as it should have been, or maybe they didn't know the content as well as they should have. And depending on what the answer to those questions are, we set the student up for additional tutoring through the School of Nursing with faculty that they will have that extra time to be supported. One of the other things that comes up quite a bit with students who are interested in any of the medical fields is also looking to balance volunteer shadowing experience on top of those early pre-nursing days, right? So a lot of students are always nervous about getting this experience. I want all of you to know that your student, we encourage them to get volunteer shadowing experience, especially if they're trying to make sure that healthcare is where they want to be, if nursing is really the program that they're passionate about. However, volunteer experience is not required of the nursing program as far as our application process. We don't want a student to risk their grades dropping because they spent so much time volunteering. So we're looking for well-rounded students. A student may need to work part-time, or they may be very involved in a student organization or be an athlete in our athletics department, part of the ROTC. There's lots of ways that students can have activity and be involved, and it doesn't have to be direct volunteer or shadowing experience in the hospital setting. Our goal for recommending that is really more about making sure this is what you want to do long term. Okay. In regard to scholarships, so hopefully by now all of you are very aware of what scholarships you'll be receiving from UAB. But when you get to your upper level nursing courses, you're eligible for nursing scholarships. And if you receive a nursing scholarship, those can be stacked on top of your UAB scholarships. So we allow students to apply for nursing scholarships twice a year, in the spring and the fall. And if you don't receive a scholarship one semester, never not try the next semester, okay? There's been plenty of students who maybe didn't receive the scholarship one semester, but they did the next 3. So there's really, it's not necessarily about the student so much as just the application pool itself. So always apply for those scholarships. And then I would always want you to know that at the School of Nursing, we have fostered a safe space environment for your student to learn. Not only is it just quite literally a safe space in that our building is locked down for your student to have the ability to focus on their learning and not someone coming in off the street, but we also have mentoring in place. We have programs in place, whether it's a professional organization or mentoring through that program, or just student groups that are part of the School of Nursing, that your student is always encouraged, if that's something they feel comfortable doing, to be a part of. What we find is students who feel connected feel more supported. And so whatever support looks like to them, there's no right or wrong, but whatever we can do to make sure that your student feels supported, that's what we're looking for. Okay, so that's a lot of information right out of the bat, but let me talk a little bit specifically about what those first couple of years would look like. So the Bachelor's of Science in Nursing, our traditional BSN program, is different, right, from most majors, because if you're applying to be an English major or even a pre-med major, you're going to have 4 years of school, and so you're not having to apply for upper level courses. In nursing, we are expecting your student to be a professional level student after 2 years of their prerequisite requirements. So in saying that, there's a couple of things that some of you on here this evening may already be aware of. The first is the early admission pathway known as the Dean Scholar designation. If you came into UAB and you had this Dean Scholar designation listed on your offer letter, then you're going to be pre-admitted into the pathway to the nursing program for your upper level courses, as long as you maintain your overall GPA at a 3.2 and your nursing GPA, so there's 2 different GPAs we'll talk about, at a 3.2. But just know 3.2 is the magic number to maintain that status. If you keep your end up this bargain, we're going to keep our end up on this bargain. And so that can mean the fall or spring semester of admission to nursing school. If for some reason your student is not a Dean Scholar, that does not mean obviously they won't get into those upper level courses. So in addition to the Dean Scholar, we've got our pre-nursing population of students who came in. Maybe they didn't know that Dean Scholar was an option. They applied after December 1st, or maybe they were just slightly below that GPA requirement. So students will be in one of these categories and advised through the School of Nursing once they get here. And some of you may have already met your advisors in being here tonight, and that would either be Alex or Leah based upon your alphabet, the last name and your alphabet. The last letter and your last name. First letter, your last name. Good grief, I can't get that out. First letter of your last name. There we go. So Leah or Alex. So for the admission process itself, you're going to have the prereqs. And again, we'll talk about that in just a minute. But once your prereqs are completed, the admission looks like this. So you've already been admitted to UAB, and then we're completing those prerequisite courses. That's all one step. The second step is then getting admitted to the nursing upper level courses. So when you work with your advisor, if I'm the biggest cheerleader your student's going to ever have in the nursing program, their advisor is their parent away from home. So you want them to meet with an advisor at least once a semester. And that's to ensure that they're taking the classes that they should be taking at the time that they would be recommended to take them to meet their goals. UAB went to a new plan this year called Blazer Core, which you may already be aware of. And so what the advisors are doing is trying to streamline this process for the student to save as much time, money, and effort as possible on your end. If your student wants to have a minor added on, or maybe they also want to look at being pre-med, what classes do we need to take? Anything is possible as long as we know your goals. And so we've got to be able to advise you correctly in order to help you meet those goals. So again, depending on who your advisor is assigned, you can find that through BlazerNet, and not you as the parent or the guardian, but the student can find that information through BlazerNet. There's also something new that happened this year with the whole transition to Blazer Core, and the advisors will be talking to students about certain flag areas. So as you're supporting your student, you want to make sure, if y'all just having a random conversation and they mention these flags, flags aren't necessarily a bad thing at all, okay? So there are some reminder flags that may come up in the system, but in general, when it comes to Blazer Core, flags are a good thing. They mean that they're working toward completing their major. And so these are just things that make a student well-rounded as a human being that UAB has added in for them to get credit toward their degrees. So that name and that word will probably come up a little bit more as we're coming into this new curriculum. A few moments ago, I mentioned that a student will have essentially two various GPAs rolled into one. And this is how your advisor is going to be looking at the student's GPA. So they're looking at a cumulative or overall GPA, and they're looking at what we call a foundational GPA for pre-nursing, which just means those core science classes that they will have to have. So on this particular slide, anything that you see here would be the pre-nursing required courses plus what it takes to have their overall GPA calculated, okay? So those down at the bottom are going to be the pre-nursing foundational requirements. And again, if you haven't received a copy of this yet, you will receive this specific information in orientation. So also in supporting your student, one thing to note is that every single class counts, right? So I asked some of my students for tips to share with you tonight. And one of them is to hopefully share with your student that one of the things they find really helpful in the School of Nursing is to have some kind of app that can help them calculate their grades. And the way they go about it is they'll just put in for each semester what tests they're going to have, what exams they'll have, what percentage that exam's worth. So they will not have to go into the final test of the year and hopefully need a 99.9 on that final exam. So this is a good measure for students to have self-accountability, but also just a little hint and tip for you to hopefully support them along their journey. But you can kind of see here as we're looking at students' grades, like one slight shift in a grade can really mean the difference of how a student does in calculating those scores. Okay. The other thing that you will have a lot of conversation around coming into orientation are AP and dual enrollment credits, or for those who may be transferring, any transfer credits that you have. We certainly accept those scores. And depending on the type of credit it is, it's already been submitted to UAB, right? And so keep that in mind, but know if they're asking you for certain documentation, it's really important that your student connects with the advisor. As the parent or guardian, you will not be able to always talk directly to the advisor because they can't share student information with you. So if you can make sure your student is communicating as succinctly as possible, of what the need is, even if you're having to help them along at the beginning, that will really help the student and your support of the student as well. But we run into a lot is that, you've always been there to support your student, and this is going to be the first time where they're having to learn to take some self-accountability. So whatever we can do to try to make that switch as easy as possible, to keep that in mind as well. When it comes to those upper level nursing courses, we admit students twice a year in the spring and the fall, and we accept closer to 150 students in each semester, so spring and fall semester. Once your student is in the upper level nursing classes, they will have to go through the program a consecutive 5 semesters. So if we had them start in the fall, it's going to be fall, spring, summer, fall, spring. Okay, or in the spring, summer, fall, spring, summer. And I say that because sometimes certain types of financial aid may not allow for you to use that aid during the summer semesters. Some aid might allow you to use it in the summer semesters. And this is why it's really important to encourage your student to apply for nursing scholarships once they're in those upper level courses to assist in any way possible. If a nursing scholarship is awarded, then we have the ability to allow them to hold their spring scholarship to use it for the summer semester if you've got enough money to cover the previous semester. So I said I would make an honorable mention to joint enrollment. So when you are having your student advised through the School of Nursing, there are going to be certain times where we may reference this program, and we reference it for a couple of reasons. It's a very affordable way for a student to get both their associates and bachelor's at the exact same time. Okay, so that's one. So cost affordable. It's also going to be a local program. So you see the 3 campuses, Wallace State in Hanceville and Aniana. Bevel State in Summerton and Fayette will start in the spring 24, and then Jefferson State, the Birmingham and Clanton campus. In doing this particular pathway, the student would not be in the traditional Bachelor's of Science in Nursing on the UAB campus. They would be physically located on the community college campus, but completing their bachelor's at the same time as their associates in nursing. So the benefits for this are if a student was wanting to be closer to home, but also finish their UAB degree, this allows them to be a student at both schools. Okay, so, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have about the program. There is one major application difference, and a student who applies to this particular upper level nursing program has to have an ACT score, which is different than the traditional bachelor's. So these are some things from the advisors and that they would wanted to share and communicate. Your student should have already seen this information, but the big takeaway here is communication. So whenever I have an athlete who's wanting to be in nursing school and play a sport, the number one thing that we want to share with them is communication. Over communicate. And so most things in college can be solved with communication. And so the first day in your upper level nursing classes, the student will receive their schedule for the entire semester. My number one recommendation is to sit down with your planner, because most of our nursing students are usually type A's. They like to be well thought out, but to sit down with a planner and just write out your schedule for the remainder of the semester, so that if you do need to work a few hours, or if you have a certain study style, you can be supportive of the student in their own journey, but in the way that they need it, right? And so but again, our role is really just to be there for the student and provide them the path that they want through college in the way they desire it, knowing that there may be some limitations, but we also will try to always explain those limitations. So just a little bit about our culture. I've mentioned a lot about support, but we in the School of Nursing are also very competitive. We love to have a good time. So we have different things that students can be a part of from the moment they come in as freshmen. Some of those include our Student Nurse Association, and this is a group that is ran by students for students. It includes student mentoring, They participate in a lot of community service events, just have a good time. And so if your student is trying to connect or nervous about being away from home or just looking for other pre-nursing students or nursing students even to look up to, this could be a good student group to consider. We are also very competitive in homecoming. We have our own kickball team, softball team. We just had our kickball tournament last Friday. And so, but we love doing things like that because nursing school is going to be hard. And so we've got to have ways to kind of blow off the steam, enjoy, have a good time, and then get back to our focus, which is to help your student finish the program and find a job. And so it's all in good fun. It's a really good time, but we'll also have other things like different dinners, welcome back events where we'll have picnics and things like that. And it's really about the engagement and helping the students feel like they're a part of something, because in nursing school, things will move so fast. And so how we can help them enjoy as much of their last couple of years at UAB while also staying up to date with the pace of everything. So these are just a few more kind of mentions and pictures here I thought I would share, but I referenced already the Student Nurse Association. One thing you may not be aware of is that we have an honors program within the School of Nursing. So if your student is planning to be a part of the UAB honors program, it's an incredible program. But they can also add, once they're in their upper level nursing courses, they can add School of Nursing honors. And those hours that they get for credit for School of Nursing honors would feed back into the UAB honors program. And this would allow them to finish out the honors program with UAB. The pictures that you see with Baby Shark and Catwoman here, those are from our lab. So every year we have a little Halloween party, holiday party. And so the students dress the lab in different themes. And so all of our mannequins have names. We treat them like real people. And so, but they dress the particular patient beds, and we had a little voting contest. So a few notes here I just thought I would end on before we open up for questions. But how I feel like in those things that I've asked parents to share and other students to share their advice to you. One is to always remember that your students are going to bring stress. This is a stressful program. And so even if your student tends to be a stressful or heightened personality, there's probably going to be some tough times. We call it in the School of Nursing being Gumby, being flexible for anything that comes our way. We can't always control what will happen or come our way, but we can try to be flexible. And that's not always easy, but being a healthcare professional is going to require a lot of flexibility. And so working with one another and just being supportive, sometimes it's just needing someone to listen. And so you may also hear a lot of random and sometimes gross conversation at your table. I know some of our students love to tell the stories of what happened on their day in clinical that day. And their guardians and parents have no interest whatsoever in hearing that story. But it's the student's way of communicating what's happening at that moment in time. The other really important thing is to transition your student to begin checking their UAB email every single day. That's going to be the main form of communication. So in order to know about financial opportunities, scholarships, deadlines, everything is going to come through their UAB email. So make sure that they are checking that regularly. And otherwise, those organizational skills that you would want your student to continue to grow with, right, and develop with their college experience and enjoy it, right? Enjoy college. This is the one time they'll have to be able to be a part of something bigger than themselves. And so we're going to bring the resources and the manpower to help them throughout this time period. And part of my role in the School of Nursing is in the 5th semester is to come back in and bring hospitals in from all over the country to help them find career opportunities, so that hopefully if you follow our social media page right now, you'll see all the students who just graduated this past semester who told us and announced where they're going to work. We love to be able to announce that when students graduate, and then we love to post it on social media so the rest of the world knows what you chose to do. So having said that, I'm going to take a breather. That was a lot to go over in this period of time, and check in to see if you have any questions. While we wait for some of your questions, I'll see if we can play this quick video.
Favorite memory, I would have to say, first day, everybody kind of, looking crazy, not knowing where to go and what to wear, and it was kind of chaotic, and that's probably one of my favorite memories.
My second semester clinical group, we have just become such good friends, and I know that I can count on them for whatever, and even after graduating, I know that we'll all be in each other's lives.
My maternal newborn class, where we got to see a mannequin deliver a baby.
Last semester, when I got to go to the NICU for the first time, that's where I got a job there now, so it was the best day. It was literally smiling all day. Your PPE, the song, your gown, mask, goggles, and gloves. My favorite memory is definitely from second semester. I had like the best clinical group. I've made great friends in nursing school.
I think UAB means opportunity.
It just means family.
Community and lifelong learning.
Endless possibilities and endless support.
It's like family, or really just like friendship.
The stepping stone to my career.
It's very diverse, very encouraging. All the teachers are amazing. So yeah.
To me, UAB means striving for excellence.
I would be the woman that I am today if I didn't go to UAB.
Definitely growth.
The community and friends all around me. If I need help, I know that there's somebody always there to lend that hand.
It's an awesome university. It's my second degree. I couldn't, boast more about the facility and everything that's given me. So
UAB has allowed me to connect with different people, connect with different resources, and I'm really glad I came to this school.
So those were just a few clips from some students that we just sometimes will pop in the hallway on senior day or something like that to be able to have them have a little fun feedback session while we're waiting and go through the photography line or something fun. So I see a question that we received here. So my student just completed Blazer Beginning. It was placed in a math course based on an assessment. So the math assessment is actually a great question. So anytime a student comes in, every student at UAB does have to take the math assessment course. And, my goddaughter is actually at UAB right now, and she had similar thing happen. So she's a great math student in high school and ended up being placed in a lower math, and she probably really should have been coming in. And who knows why? It could have been because of the way, her attention span in the assessment test, who really knows? But with that being said, it's not that it would necessarily put them behind. It just may mean that if they decide to take a summer semester, they'll just add in a course somewhere along the way to be able to pick that up and get that momentum to happen. The other big thing, and I hope that answers your question. So the other thing that people get really concerned about is, do they fall behind if they don't apply for the upper level courses and the time limit that they had set for themselves? And that is just absolutely one of those things that is, I think, personal pressure that the student or ourselves, we put on one another. Our fall semester, people feel this pressure to get in and be admitted the fall semester. But we teach the exact same content in the exact same format for the spring semester. And so there's no right or wrong whether you apply for the fall or spring semester. It's really about what works best for the student. And the other thing to take into consideration based upon your student and how they do well in certain courses, what your student's strong in, I might not be strong in. And so it allows, in working with the advisor, to be able to be sure that we're not overwhelming in one semester and just kind of not taking, I won't say lax courses the next semester, because there's not many lax courses, but just so that it balances out. We know what some of the hard classes are for sure. And so we want to make sure, if you've always wanted to travel abroad, then we can recommend what classes to take for you to be able to do that. So let's see here. So the way that class counts, he will have to take, so if you have a student who is going to have to take like a Math 98 class or something like that, they will have to take that class in order to be able to move forward to the next math. So, and that has to be completed before he would be able to move up to the ones listed. That is correct.
Well, thank you, Annalee. That's a wealth of information, and the UAB's nursing program is just amazing. I meet people, students who are going through the nursing program, or just new students coming in right now. They're so excited. This is actually a wonderful place to be. So thank you all for submitting your questions. We still have a few more minutes, so if you would like to send a couple more questions, you can do so through our Q&A. Or through Facebook. I see we have some people on our Facebook page watching as well. So feel free. This is the time. This is the expert. This is the person who's going to help you with your answer your questions at this time. While we wait for questions, Annalee, is there anything else you would like to say? Any tips that you would like to give families as they transition or as they begin their journey with their student to nursing school?
You know, honestly, it's probably be ready for something unexpected along the way, right? Whether it's something emotional that might arise, or for your student to feel like they might want to make some shift in a decision that they've made. One of the things we do in their freshman year coming into any UAB program is the freshman year experience class. And it's essentially an orientation to the university. But the students who designate a pre-nursing or nursing interest will have that class one day a week over in the School of Nursing. And the goal of that class is not only to talk about life things, right? Life management and being away from home the first time, keeping organized and all the things. But we're also going to set your student up to do a shadowing rotation in our lab facilities. So they're going to work with those mannequins where they're talking about birthing mannequins and things like that. We're also going to set them up for one day over at UAB Medicine to do a shadowing rotation at the hospital. And so that's a level 1 trauma center for the student to be able to kind of get an idea of how nurses interact with their patients in a very acute nursing facility. And that doesn't mean that's where they want to work forever, but it does give them a realistic experience of what it's like. And if for some reason the student comes back, we write a little reflective essay. And if they realize, you know what, the sights and the smells and the sounds of what nurses do every day is really not what I think I want to do. Or maybe they would rather be on another side of healthcare. There's hundreds of jobs. Maybe they would rather be a physical therapist, occupational therapist. Then our advisors are going to set your student up for an appointment with another advisor. It's never going to be a time where they say, I'm so sorry it didn't work out for you in nursing, go figure it out yourself. It will always be someone to support your student, to make sure they know how to get to where they need to go, or to know what options are there, to explore those options before they change their mind completely. So see a question here. Can I speak more about travel abroad options? They didn't talk about the School of Nursing when covering travel abroad. So there's probably a fairly good reason they didn't talk about School of Nursing so much. We do have students who travel abroad. If we have students who do choose to travel abroad, it's going to be really important that you do that in your first year, coming early into that second, okay? Because that's about the only time where you're going to get to choose what classes you take. Once you get to those upper level nursing classes, it's very much like being in the military, where we're going to tell you what to do, when to do it, what time to do it, when to be there, and how to dress usually. And so it's a very specific style of learning, because you're going to be taking care, your student's going to be taking care of all of our lives one day. And so there's a rigor to that. Having said that, with travel abroad, going back to your question, if a student will connect with their advisor, let them know, this is something I think I would really like to do. The thing that's really important if they go for a summer abroad for that semester is that we've got to make sure they're taking classes that don't include a lab component, because there wouldn't be a way for you to have the lab course here at UAB and also be abroad. So that's why sometimes nursing is not mentioned in those conversations, because it is a little tricky to work it out, but it can be worked out. just in the same way we love to have athletes and people who work and a variety of backgrounds, because we feel like that makes for a diverse nurse one day, and for someone who's going to be great at the bedside because they can have really great conversations with their patients because they are a well-rounded human being.
Oh, that is a great opportunity. I never thought of the travel abroad component of nursing and how critical it is to learn about other cultures and other ways of thinking, and even how they do things in other places. Awesome. You said you had tours on Fridays. Is there a specific time when those happen?
Yes, so the tours on Fridays are at 11:45. And so those are, you would need to go through the Campus Visit Center, which is the same place who sets up the actual campus visits. But when you look up the Friday options, unless there's a holiday, we do a tour every Friday at 11:45. So, and even if, you know, having already made the decision to come to UAB, anytime during your student's freshman year, they can reach out to me or go through that website, and we'll find a time for them to do a tour. That's the same thing talking about that freshman orientation class. Is part of that will be to give them a tour in that freshman year of the labs and everything, because you know you still want to make sure you feel like you made the right decision and to confirm that decision. So let's see here. Are there common countries that you see for school nursing and courses? No, not particularly. That's a very personal decision about something that's more about a journey that the students always wanted to take to enhance their education. So when we talk about travel abroad, it's not nursing specific. This is going to be just a learning abroad experience. Now, the nursing program is PAHO and WHO partners. And so we are part of the World Health Organization partnership and all of this. Now, what this means for an undergrad student is not a lot, because you're not going to have the opportunity to go abroad in those 5 semesters. It'll be your pre-nursing classes is when you would want to try to get the travel abroad course in. And so again, talking with the advisor, letting them know that's something you've always dreamt of doing. And whether you choose to do it or not, that's okay. But at least to know what it would look like if you built it into your curriculum. That's the key. Giving yourself options. I hope I answered your question.
I think that was a great explanation, and thank you everybody for submitting your questions and for being here tonight. This is a great topic, and we hope that you have taken a lot of information with you. Of course, if you would like to reach out to Anna Lee, her information is on the screen right now. You're also welcome to call our office, the Family Engagement Office. You can call it 205-975-0684, or you can send us an email at UAB families@UAB. So please, if you have any additional questions, this is the time. I think there's one that just came in. So oh, it's a thank you. Thank you all for being here tonight. And thank you, Annalie. And please feel free to send us any more questions that you have. This again will be live on Facebook for you to view it again with your student, and it'll be on our website soon. So thank you everybody for being here today.
Oh, so
that one question.
Yeah. So the male to female, I don't want to assume, but I think you may be asking the male to female ratio for the incoming year. So I honestly have not looked for this incoming year because we just sent out offers for this incoming student group. So, and not the freshman group coming in, but the nursing class. So 2 different things there. However, we tend to have the highest male nursing population for any of the BSN programs in the Southeast, and tend to be some of the highest in the nation. So when you look proportionately, and it can vary, that can mean a lot of things. That can mean we have 5 one semester to 20 the next semester. So that can be all over the place. The other thing, if you have a male student, there's a couple of organizations, one specifically for males that I want to reference. It's the American Men in Nursing Association, and we have the Birmingham chapter through UAB School of Nursing. So when your student gets to UAB, we would love to have them be a part of that. And that's a way to connect to other male nurses, whether they're in nursing school or have graduated and have gone on to get their doctorate. and working as a nurse practitioner, nurse anesthetist. And so it's just a good network. The other organizations that we have through UAB are the Filipino Nurses Association, the Black Nurses Association, and let's see, the Hispanic Nurses Association. And the president of that chapter and the founding member of that chapter are one of our faculty. So
great information. I think students should also join those organizations or inquire more about those organizations. Let's see if we have, well, another thank you. No, thank you. And we're so excited that you were all able to join us. We would like to invite you to continue attending our webinars. Tomorrow we have our webinar on disability support services, and it will be at 11 o'clock. So if you can join us, feel free to bring your lunch and join us. If not, it'll go live on Facebook for later viewing or later on our website. So thank you, Annalie. I think these are the questions that we have. I've been monitoring Facebook as well. And these are the questions that we have tonight. Thank you, everybody, for attending. Thank you, Annalie. Any last thoughts or anything you would like to say before we go?
no, not at this time, but please feel free to reach out. We're here for you. We've got a huge support system. So let us know if we can help in any way, and never be afraid to ask. So
Definitely. Never be afraid to ask. So we're all here for you. We wish you a great evening, and thank you again for attending, and have a great afternoon, great evening. Bye-bye.